What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. The Summer Cup is still here, and I think I found a pick that I really like to use that I'm surprised no one else has used just yet. The Pokemon I'm talking about is Fury Cutter Crustle. It has access to one of the best fast moves in the game, and being a Rock type and Bug type counteracts a lot of the weaknesses you might have otherwise. Let's get into the battles and see what this Pokemon can do. First game of the day, we have Tentacruel as our lead into an Oranguru. Not exactly a good lead matchup here. We know Psychic is good into Poison, but I do have two Pokemon that are generally pretty good into Psychic types in the back, and for some reason, they're not swapping out when I safe swap my Crustle. Fury Cutter as well as X's are both super effective into their Psychic type Pokemon. They let it go, and man, that's a lot of damage into a very bulky Pokemon already. That was only 4 confusions. It can't be a future sight or anything. I know Shield Trailblaze does boost their attack, but they clear their boost by swapping into Shadow Victory Bell. This is another good matchup, I would have to say, for Crustle here. I know Acid, being a Poison-type fast move, doesn't do that much damage to our Rock-type Pokemon here, so this is actually one of the better matchups we could see, especially for a Shadow Victory Bell on our team. In comes another X-Scissor here. Our opponent shielded that first one, they shield the second one, and at this point, I can swap out. I'm going to bank up all the energy that we still had on our Crustle and absorb the energy on our Ferrothorn. I know there is a potential for them to go Sludge Bomb. They actually go for Leaf Blade. Sludge Bomb is only single stage resisted, whereas Leaf Blade is double resisted, so I'm kind of surprised to see this here from our opponent. They throw it once again, but that's fine by me. We see the Oranguru come back in. Might as well Power Whip them before they can get to a Brutal Swing or a Foul Play. This should knock them out. I'm pretty close to another Flash Cannon if that Victory Bell does come back in, and it seems like at this point we are in a very good spot. Victory Bell does come in here. It throws a charge move, but no matter what they're going to throw, we survive it. We're just one Bullet Seed away from a Flash Cannon. Our opponent goes for that Leaf Blade once again. I mean, we still have a lot of HP remaining on our Ferrothorn here. We have a lot of our Tentacruel as well as some of our Crustle. Our opponent, I guess with Belly Bolt in back, nowhere to go. Our Ferrothorn was too good, as well as our Crustle into that team. Next game, Pidgeot. A very neutral lead matchup. Honestly, I don't really have a great counter to this across the board. I know Ferrothorn can put in work as far as grass types go into this, but it's not amazing because I don't have Thunder. And while I do have a Rock type in the back, my fast move is resisted by their Flying type Pokemon, so I'm kind of fine here just playing out this matchup. They could Brave Bird us or Feather Dance or Air Cutter. It looks like Brave Bird is the move of choice, and they come in with a Shadow Cradily. This is a very good Pokemon for our team to see. One of the best things about this team that I found today is Cradily has nowhere to go against us. I think it's one of the most common Pokemon in this meta, and it's also one of the most common save swaps that I've seen. So having a hard punish here like Ferrothorn is one of the best things I could have had today. Flash Cannon coming through. This is still super effective damage, despite that debuff nearly one-shotting the Shadow Cradily, and we can see Acid as well as these Rock Tombs not doing too much damage to us here. We can afford to overfarm even more energy, have energy just in case that Pidgeot comes back in, but at this point, maybe another play I could do is take this debuff, swap out to our Crustle, get energy there, and clear our debuff while also having energy across the board. In comes our Crustle. They do swap out to Pidgeot, and while they are likely going to go for a debuff against us here, I can outpace them to this Rock Slide. They might shield, they might let it go. Rock Slide, not the strongest move in the game, but it still does put them pretty low into the red here. We can Fury Cutter down. I'll shield this up. If it is a Feather Dance, so be it. But we have so much energy across the board, I don't think it's really going to matter. In comes that debuff. Our opponent is going to be switch locked in with their final Pokemon for just a second here. Going to be a Gastrodon of all things. This is a little bit uncomfortable because I know Gastrodon has a lot of fast food pressure. We have our Tentacruel in the backline that is pretty low. We also have our Ferrothorn that's pretty low as well, but I'm going to clear our debuff, go for the Scald combo play. I know I also have energy on our Ferrothorn. I'm almost at back-to-back power, but I think I'm one away from that back-to-back charge move, so I know at this point I need to get the final shield, and then as long as I do, I should win the game. They make a nice catch on Cradily, but that's totally fine by me once again. We have the energy on our Ferrothorn loaded in the backline. I know no matter what, they're not going to mud slap down a Crustle here. They're forced to throw energy to knock us out before I reach 2 X-Scissors. They go for the Earth Power, no debuff, love to see that. In comes our X-Scissor right now. Our opponent at this point has to shield this, and if they do, they are vulnerable to our energy that we have on our Ferrothorn later on this game. Slaps coming through, not quite enough to knock us out before our next move. They realize that they throw a Body Slam into us here, but now we have all of the energy we need. We can go even for a Flash Cannon, why not, into the Gastrodon. It will be resisted, but it is still a strong move, and Gastro is very low on HP. We're able to win the game. GG there to our opponent. Next matchup is going to be Tentacruel up against a Virizion. All right, very good lead matchup here. Hopefully that means if I can take down this Pokemon, we're going to have play with our Ferrothorn in the back. That said, our opponent is staying in the lead here. I know Virizion does have more play than you might expect in this matchup, but it is a little bit scary that they have not swapped out quite yet. I would imagine that means there's a fire type in the backline. I don't like saying that, but I think it might be the case here. But Tentacruel is our best Virizion answer. I have to stay in. I'm going to go for the full on Sludge Wave. Maybe I should bait, but I'm going to go for this to guarantee a shield or potentially a knockout if they get greedy. They do go for the shield there. They're going to reach another Leaf Blade here in just a second, but I can try to get as much faster pressure as I can into this Pokemon. This is a little bit awkward. I'm going to try to shield up this Leaf Blade, but it is so spammy at this point. Acid, while it is a good move, is not quite enough here to farm them all the way down. In comes a Scald Bait. Our opponent does opt to let it go, so even worst case scenario here for us, I try to get a little bit greedy, and it does not pay off. With that said, I have put them into Fury Cutter downrange. If there is a fire type in the back, like potentially a Skeledirge, maybe they might still come in with it in this matchup. Our opponent, thinking for just a second, they come in with a Tentacruel. Not the worst case scenario for our Crustle, but I can only imagine what we're about to face here. Yeah, it's going to be a Skeledirge. That is an instant top left. Nothing we can do against that Pokemon. Next game is going to be another Oranguru. What are these things doing here? I have no idea, but our Tentacruel does not want any part of it. Once again, going to safe swap our Crustle, our opponent. Once again, not swapping out instantly. At least this time they do swap out, though, before I can reach an X-Scissor. But I don't think Decidueye is all that strong into Crustle. Fury Cutter is going to add up a lot. X-Scissor as well, very efficient charge move. They let it go, and I think in the two-shield matchup, I can just flip switch advantage, make it so our Crustle, or rather our Tentacruel, gets to avoid that Oranguru, and he should be in a very good spot in this game. That said, they do go for a Spirit Shackle, which can debuff defense, and it does end up proccing that debuff, which means now maybe I'm in a range where I can get Astonished down. It's going to be close, but I think Crustle might still be bulky enough here to survive. In comes our next move. X's are going to get the shield here from our opponent. I think shielding and farming all the way down might be a possibility for us in this match. If I can farm down, then I'll have energy for whatever they bring in here, and winning switch with our Tentacruel and our Ferrothorn core should be a good thing for us. In comes the farm down. We have energy for whatever they're going to bring in. We got both shields down too, which is fantastic. They do bring in that Oranguru once again. We instantly throw the X-Scissor to make sure we don't get sniped down by anything. This should come very close to knocking him out. It puts him into Power Whip range. Our opponent brings in a Skeledirge, and while this Pokemon is a little bit scary for our Ferrothorn, I gotta say, it's not that bad for our Water-type Pokemon. In comes a charge move, likely going to be a Shadow Ball. No, it's actually a Torch Song. That's actually a very smart play, because they're not going to reach 2 Shadow Balls before I can reach 2 Scalds, but by going for that Torch Song first, there's a pretty good chance now that the next move could threaten a knockout against us. We don't debuff their attack stat here, so if this next Shadow Ball is enough to knock us out, that is not looking good for us, but if it's not, which we are able to survive, we can still reach that Scald and pick up the knockout here in this game. Super close endgame here, but I know at this point our Ferrothorn should be able to align back into that Oranguru, and we are going to win the game. GG there to our opponent. Next game, you're going to see the best lead we could possibly see, Skeledirge. I mean, it's not the best lead in theory. It's actually a pretty bad lead for our Tentacruel as far as a water type into a fire type goes, because our fast move pressure is resisted. But we want to see this here rather than on our backline, so if we can neutralize this Pokemon, we should be in a good spot. We land the Scald, which is fantastic because that is the highest damaging move that any Pokemon on our team has against this. Rock Slide might be super effective. It's not a great move, though, so very happy that I ended up getting that move off into the Skeledirge. They do end up going for the full-on Shadow Ball. I shielded it up because it feels like they're kind of weak to our Tentacruel right now. They're staying in the lead, and I feel like at this point, just whittling them down just a little bit more could be a good idea. In comes another charge attack from our opponent here. Probably a Shadow Ball once again. I can survive it. No attack drops by our Tentacruel, unfortunately, so I take the full force of that move. In comes another Scald. We could see a shield here potentially, but it would be a very odd play in my opinion, but it is exactly what happens. Once again, no debuff. Don't love to see that here. Not that it really matters at this point. I think I can go in with our Crustle, farm them all the way down, and we should still be in a pretty good spot. But they do go for a Torch Song, and we just barely cannot Fury Cutter down before they reach another charge move. Now I would have really wanted to debuff, because this +1 Torch Song puts us down below half HP. We can still Fury Cutter all the way down here. I'm hoping, once that Skeledirge is out of the way, that our Ferrothorn has a lot more play into the backline. This is a good start. Tentacruel is a Pokemon that Ferrothorn has a ton of play into. We actually go for a catch on the Scald. Ferrothorn is going to take almost no damage from this. We have a lot of energy left over on our Crustle. As long as there's no second Fire type or a Virizion, we should be in a fantastic spot. In comes a move here. I don't have Thunder, which would be super effective, but Power Whip is still a very efficient move. Basically 2 shots this Tentacruel. I guess they don't have any play into us there. They top left. GG to our opponent. Next game is going to be another Skeledirge lead, so this is where we want to see it. Let's see what they are going to do this time. They actually instantly swap out to a Drampa, a Pokemon that honestly I don't really have a hard answer for. I could have come in with our Steel type, I guess, but it's not like I have a lot of pressure against them either with that Pokemon, so it'd be a very awkward matchup. Instead, I'm going to go for a Scald, Chip, and Dip. I was kind of hoping they'd shield that move, honestly, but I mean, I'm still in a fine spot one way or another. I should be able to shield up a Fly, farm them all the way down, and have a lot of energy for that Skeledirge when it comes back in. They do barely reach another fly here before I can Fury Cutter down, but it's a non-stab fly. I should survive. Crustle is pretty bulky here, so we can farm them all the way down. We almost have back-to-back charge moves, so if that Skeledirge just come back in, we have a lot of rock-type damage ready for it, rather, to throw into it. In comes that Skeledirge, in comes the Rock Slide. Our opponent is likely going to let the first one go. Let's see how much damage it does. Not even half. That's kind of how sad Rock Slide is nowadays. They did nerf it quite a while ago. I feel like it's a move that never really deserved a nerf, but you can see the effects of that on Skeledirge here, being able to survive the moves just a little bit easier. I'm going to come in, obviously, with our Tentacruel. I could shield this move up. I don't think it's going to be a Torch Song bait, but if it is, that is catastrophic. No, it is a Shadow Ball. In comes a Scald here from our Tentacruel. I would love a debuff. It would make it so I can definitely survive the next Shadow Ball. If I don't debuff, though, there is still chance for us to win this game. We do get the debuff. That is what we want to see here, and we have Poison Jabbed them, or rather Acided them down into a range where potentially even a move from our Ferrothorn in the backline could knock them out. In comes a Virizion, and this is the worst case scenario. We know that now we have almost nowhere to go for our Ferrothorn, but I'm going to try to get as much fast move pressure into them as I can here. This is putting them into a range where I think I might be able to Bullet Seed them down. If I can Bullet Seed down, go for a Flash Cannon into the Skeledirge, there might still be a chance for us to win this match. In comes our Bullet Seeds. We get denied by a fast move here. That's not ideal. We want to get as much fast move pressure into this as we can. We can survive 2 of these charge moves from our opponent, even after the double kick fast move pressure, but this is going to be so close. In comes another Sacred Sword here. We do survive this attack, and we can do 1 more Bullet Seed, reach the Flash Cannon, but is this enough damage to knock out a Skeledirge? Flash Cannon coming through. Come on, Ferrothorn. It knocks out the Fire-type Pokemon. You love to see it there. GG to our opponent. Next game is going to be a Lapras in the lead, a Pokemon you don't see too often here in the Ultra League Summer Cup, but it is a very solid pick just in general. It's going to be interesting to see what the moveset on this is. I know sometimes you see Skull Bash in the Open Ultra League, but I feel like Ice Beam would be the right play here in a meta with so many grass types. Let's see if our opponent agrees or if they're going to go for a Skull Bash here and basically one-shot us. I'm going to go for the No Shield. They did let that Sludge Wave go, so I would assume they don't have Skull Bash. If they did have Skull Bash, if they wanted to boost their defense stat before I threw a move, that would probably be a good idea. And luckily for us, I was a little bit worried that when I saw that Lapras lead, that our Ferrothorn wouldn't have a lot of wiggle room in the back line, but no, it is going to be a Jellicent in the back, a Pokemon that Ferrothorn has a ton of play into. Honestly, it's our best matchup by far against this Pokemon across the board on our team. So we have some play here. We go for a Power Whip, and I do survive 2 of the Shadow Balls here from this Pokemon, but the Hex damage will start adding up against us over time. Landing that single Power Whip there is all I needed my Ferrothorn to be able to do. It can take a lot of damage. It can throw a move here to knock them out, but honestly, just making it so this Jellicent is not that big of a problem for our backline is absolutely massive. Power Whip coming through, it does knock out the Jellicent, who comes in now to try to absorb our energy. We know there is still that Lapras with a bit of energy in the backline, and we see another Pokemon here weak to Ferrothorn. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I shouldn't have let this Pokemon go down so quickly this game because it could have swept. In comes our Tentacruel, though. Once again, I know it has a lot of play here across the board because we have so much energy. If that Lapras comes in, I can get to another Sludge Wave, and if they stay in here, I can actually just go for 2 Scalds before they even realize I'm at the next move. In comes the attack. Our opponent is going to be forced into a no-shield. They have no idea what I have in the back. Smart play by them to swap in, but I thought they'd go for a farm down. They must have realized how close I was to another Scald, so good play by them to snipe down my energy. But I also see my guaranteed win condition. We can go for a full Fury Cutter down here, and while this is a super effective Sparkling Aria, I can survive 1 move. I can shield the next and have back-to-back X-Scissors ready to go against their Cradily when it comes back in. In comes the next move. They're not anywhere near the 3rd Sparkling Aria into our Crustle, so just keep tapping the screen here. Fury Cutter down all the way against this Pokemon. We have the perfect farm down, 2 X-Scissors ready to go into the Cradily. This should be able to knock out either the first one or the next one, depending on if they want to shield. In comes a move. They let it go. They realize Crustle is game over for them. GG to our opponent. Next matchup, Tentacruel into a Tentacruel mirror. All right, this is always a bit debuff dependent to see how this plays out. We are, it looks like, both on Acid as the fast move. I haven't seen too many Poison Jab Tentacruels recently. I have seen a couple go for Poison Sting, though, because that's a move that can generate energy just a little bit quicker, and I actually get a debuff. That's a first. I don't see that happen too often in the Tentacruel mirror, but I guess we'll see how our opponent wants to play out this game. Scald comes through against us. They safe swap. This is not a safe swap into this team. I'm going to be honest. Our whole team is so good into Cradily. I love this matchup where I can just build up even more energy on our own Tentacruel, catch the move on our Ferrothorn, and even down this much energy. This matchup is just so strong for our Grass and Steel type Pokemon. They do go for another debuff before we get a single charge attack off, but it does not matter. This is what Flash Cannon is for. It makes it so this matchup, even after debuffs, is still fantastic for our Steel type. In comes the Flash Cannon. Our opponent likely does not want to shield a move here from a Ferrothorn. They do let it go, and now at this point, Ferrothorn is just putting in so much work. Another team here where I would imagine that Ferrothorn just kind of unwinds the entire lineup. They had the Tentacruel lead, Cradilly in the backline. I don't know what their third Pokemon is going to be here, but I'm going to hope that our Tentacruel and our Ferrothorn have play, as well as our Crustle later on this game. In comes the Flash Cannon. Down goes the Cradilly. They had quite a bit of energy there. I don't want to give a farm down over, so I'm thinking about swapping out if that Tentacruel comes back in, which is exactly what ends up happening. I go instantly for the Scald just in case our energy is better used here. I have no idea if they want to stay in or swap out, and they actually have a Belly Bolt in the back. So yeah, triple weak to our Ferrothorn. This game could get a little bit tricky though, because I know at this point they're likely going to start shielding their Belly Bolt. In comes the Scald, and we get another debuff. Maybe I should stop complaining about how unlucky I am, because we got 2 in this game. I guess that probably makes up for a couple that I've missed earlier on. But with that said, Parabolic Charge will increase their defense stat, but I think I can still sneak a Sludge Wave here through a shield. At this point, they have boosted their defense stat. They have no idea what I have in the backline. They know they still probably need a shield for something back in our backline, and it's going to be that Crustle that comes in. Our opponent could go for a Parabolic Charge here, but at -1 attack, that's not going to do too much damage. They come back in with a Tentacruel, and I can go for a Rock Slide here in just a second. But a bit of a misplay by me. I should have gone for the Rock Slide before a potential Scald debuff. Our opponent, of course, capitalizing off the fact that I did not throw instantly, does in fact get that Scald debuff. Not ideal. Honestly, this is a little bit awkward now, although I think I can still reach 2 Rock Slides before I'm going to be able to get knocked out by a Scald. My swap, it should be up here in just a second. I think I can swap Catch a Move on a Ferrothorn and make it so I still have my Crustle alive in the backline. This is such an awkward matchup now for our opponent where the Scald is not going to knock us out, but they can swap into Belly Bolt. I just barely do not reach that Power Whip. Honestly, that could be a little bit tricky, but I think I do survive a Parabolic Charge as well as the Sucker Punches, and I should reach an X-Scissor and then farm down that Tentacruel later on this game. In comes a Parabolic Charge. It's not a Zap Cannon, so we do survive, and this X-Scissor should still be enough despite that defense increase to knock them out here. X-Scissor being thrown, our opponent, no shields remaining, will get knocked out. It's just if their Tentacruel has enough play in the backline. Timer is actually coming up here. Potentially, there is a lose condition if they can reach a Sludge Wave here and get us below their HP threshold. Honestly, at this point, though, that would just mean that they knock us out. We survive the Scald, and we win with the timer. They're super close game. GG to our opponent. Next game, Tentacruel into Skeledirge. This is once again where I want to see it. Let's see if our opponent's going to stay in, and they do, and they are on Hex, actually. Very interesting fast move choice. It means they have a bit more play into our Tentacruel just because their faster pressure is not resisted. But once again, they go for the safe swap of a Cradilly, expecting that Tentacruel might be one of my better answers to it. But I have 3 answers to Cradilly. I can just come in with our Ferrothorn, once again, just overfarm as much energy as we need to here, go for Flash Cannons, and see what our opponent wants to do. This move is likely going to get no shielded by our opponent. They've realized at this point, Cradilly is just one of the worst matchups they could be in right now, so there's no reason to invest in this Pokemon. In comes another Rock Tomb. Down goes our attack, but it doesn't matter. Our Ferrothorn still very healthy here. I think they might be in range where Power Whip could knock them out. And what I don't really want to do in this matchup is I don't want to give a huge farm down over to that Skeledirge, because if I do end up giving a lot of energy over there, they can ramp up with Torch Songs, they can do a lot of stupid things. So instead of staying in this matchup, I'm going to swap back into our Tentacruel, go for a Scald here, and try our best to either knock them out, get them low on HP, or draw shields. Our opponent opts to shield, and they're not supposed to have this. This is supposed to be my pick for the day. They come in with a Ferrothorn. I mean, this Pokemon's not bad for my Crustle in the backline either, but this is a little bit awkward because I know this Pokemon is so good at walling energy from a Tentacruel. I'm going to shield this up. It could be a Thunder, but either way, it feels like our Tentacruel still has a lot of play left in this game, and I think as long as we can swap out of this matchup at some point with a decent amount of energy, we should still be in a good spot. Scald being thrown, this is not going to do too much damage, but it should chip them down to a bit below half HP, and they throw a move into our own Ferrothorn before they end up swapping out. A Power Whip doesn't knock us out. Flash Cannon or Thunder might come close. They actually do go for Power Whip. Once again, the Grass type move, not the play to throw into the Ferrothorn. You want to go for either of the other moves that Ferrothorn could have, because Power Whip is obviously resisted by both the Grass and Steel typing. They do Hex us all the way down, but not before I get a parting move off with this Power Whip. This move should be enough here to put them down into range where your Rock Slide could knock out. And I know I survive a Shadow Ball from this range too. I can shield this up because there's almost no chance they go for a Torch Song bait once again. I mean, if they did, that could have been bad there, but that would be such a risky bait if I would have no-shielded that. In comes our next Scald. Our opponent does shield this attack up, and even if they do knock out our Tentacruel, I think our Crustle should be able to close out this game. In comes a Shadow Ball. Our Tentacruel takes a lot of damage here, but we're able to potentially reach a Skull. No, not quite. They end up doing the combo play. Very smart move by our opponent, sniping down our Tentacruel. But I think our Crustle still has enough in the tank here to win us this game. I can actually outpace them before a Power Whip to an X-Scissor, which means now I have taken no damage on our Crustle. There's a very low HP Fire-type Pokemon in the back. All I need to do is reach a single Rock Slide to knock them out. In comes the charge move. Our opponent realizes there's not much they can do there. GG to them. Next game, Tentacruel into Virizion, and I know this team. This is actually the team that inspired me to run Origin Palkia yesterday. I knew for a fact there was going to be an instant swap out into a Dragon-type Pokemon. I didn't want to give them any extra energy, so I simul-swapped into my own Crustle, which should outpace this Palkia to a move. And because I am using Fury Cutter, I outpace with the X-Scissors, and I still have quite a bit of fast food pressure into them. They do very smartly no-shield that X-Scissor, though. If they can get to another Aqua Tail, that could be bad, but it looks like Crustle is just good enough to get the full farm down in that matchup. In comes the Virizion, and I know this matchup, while it is a little bit awkward for Crustle, is not all that bad. X-Scissor as well as Fury Cutter is going to add up quite a bit against them here. In comes another move already. They have to throw energy to knock us out. They cannot farm us down, and our Crustle is putting in so much work into this Pokemon. In comes their final Pokemon. It's that Drampa. I knew for a fact it was Double Dragon. Drampa, one of the best Dragon types in this meta, but Ferrothorn is a Dragon type resist. It's not exactly the best counter to Dragons, saying my Bullet Seeds and Power Ups are also going to be resisted, but I can at least slow this Pokemon down. And with how much work I put into that Virizion already this game, I should be in a good spot. We shield up the Fly. We also go for a bait with a Power Whip here, but honestly, it's not even that much of a bait at this point. I know going for 2 Power Whips could potentially still just knock out this Pokemon because of how squishy they are, or at least put them into a range where I could knock them out with fast food pressure. We have a Flash Cannon ready to go. Our opponent tries to snipe us down here with a Sacred Sword, but I know I should survive this. Even if I did get that CMP there, that would be nice to knock out the Virizion. And since I did not get the CMP, I can instead swap out to our Tentacruel, save the Flash Cannon for that Drampa later on, and go for a full farm down against this with our Acids. We have access to Sludge Wave here. As long as we can reach it before getting knocked out by this Drampa, it should be enough to knock them out. They throw a move against us, and I know while they could have Outrage, they already showed Fly. There's almost no chance that's the move they have. No, it's just going to be a Swift here. We survive that easily, and in comes a Sludge Wave. This should knock out the Drampa. Tentacruel able to close out this game, and we win that game with a 3-ball flex. GG there to our opponent. Super fun day of battles here using Crustle in the Go Battle League. I feel like this Pokemon is a little bit underrated in this meta. There are a couple matchups that are not the best for it, right? I mean, Skeledirge, for example, is a Pokemon you might expect to beat as a Rock type into a Fire type, but you have almost no faster pressure into them. Rock Slide, not the best move. But there's a lot of neutral matchups here in this meta that Crustle can kind of just outpace or out-neutral game because of how efficient X-Scissor and Fury Cutter can be. So yeah, with that said here, we were able to finish off the day at 2659, new season high, top 30 in the world as of recording of this video. I think it was top 100 a couple of days ago, but here, top 30, this team worked out so well, and definitely give it a try here if you have a Crustle ready to go in the Go Battle League. All right, well, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.